Alright, this is part 2 of entering our airplane into XPlane. At the end of the last video we saved it, so we're going to go find that. Go to File and Open, and we saved it in the aircraft directory, experimental, and there it is, the AE514 demo ACF file. That's the aircraft file. So we open that. It's giving us that warning again, but we'll fix that here in a minute. Next step on the handout and in entering this is to go to Expert, and we're going to change the airfoils. And we're going to change the airfoils on the wing, the horizontal, and the vertical tails to match what we've been using in our homework. So what we're looking for, we have to change all 4 of these values for the wing. So we click on the box there, choose airfoils, and we're going to use the 6506. So we scroll down and look for that. It's this one here, the 65-006. So we open that. It shows up here. We do that for all of these boxes. So that does the wing. Then we're going to go down here to the horizontal tail. Same thing, except we're going to use the 0006 airfoil. That's what we've been specifying in our homework assignments for this. We do all of those. And we're going to do the same thing for the the vertical tail. Same airfoil. This is the low Reynolds number. Here's the high Reynolds number. And this is at the root, and this is at the tip. So you can actually change your airfoil shape as you go out along the span of the wing. All right, so we've got that set up. Let me double check it. So we're done with the wings. We could go over here to some of the other things, but we haven't entered any miscellaneous wings, so we will X this out. All right, let's bring up the next thing that we need to do. Flip to your next page of your handout, and we're going to do the engine specs. So we're going to go to Standard, go down to Engine. There we go, it's right here. Choose that. And in the standard, we do the jet engine specs. Hang on, I need to pause for a minute. All right, we're back recording. We're going to go to the section here with the jet engine specs, and we're going to enter the maximum thrust, which is 10,900, so we can go up to 11 and then down. Compressor area is going to be 12. Afterburner thrust, we're going to put at 7,000. The N1, we're going to leave at 10. The maximum efficiency here, we're going to go up to 1. And I think we are good there. Leave everything else the same. And then we're going to go to the location tab, and we're going to tell it we have 2 engines. And we're going to choose those engines as low bypass jet. And we have to tell it where the engines are located. So that's what we do here. The longitudinal arm is 28. So both engines are located 28 feet aft of the datum, and one is located to the left. And one is located to the right. The vertical arm stays the same. We're going to cant these 2 degrees vertically, and side cant is 0. Double check in, vertical arm is 0. Leave everything else the default. Alright, and then flip to the next page. We're going to go to the SFC sound here. And we're going to enter the fuel consumption here. Sorry, I'm going to pause here. I've got to find it for you. Alright, we're good. The values here, we're going to put in a 0.85 here. So that's half thrust, specific fuel consumption. This just tells the simulator how fast to burn fuel, depending upon how much you have the throttle lever set. You leave everything else the same. And then we're done with the engine specs. So we're going to click X here and close that out. So flip to the next page of your handout. And we have to create the viewpoint. This tells us where the pilot sits, and it sets various parameters for the airspeed gauges. We're going to tell it the stall speed and the do not exceed speed. So we're going to the viewpoint tab here. In the author tab, you can tell it who made the airplane. Here's the description. So this is AE 514 demo F4. You can set the tail number here if you want. I usually like to set this to, went the wrong way, I want to go to the letter A. I think we can type in here. Yeah, we can. So I set the tail number. Things we want to set here, the stall speed is going to be 125. That's the stall speed with the flaps down. This is the stall speed with the flaps up. And this sets the stall warning, so the airplane will warn you when you're stalled. Here's the never exceed speed, so we're going to set that to 760. And the maximum Mach number is 2. We're going to allow positive 12.5 Gs and 8.7 negative Gs. And then in this column here, we're going to tell it where the pilot viewpoint is located. So this creates the view out of the cockpit. The pilot is located 1.9 forward of the datum because he sits in front of the apex of the wing. That's our datum. Lateral arm is 0 and the vertical arm is 4.5. Notice you could put a tow hook here on the airplane, all kinds of aerial refueling ports, other options, objects here can be added in. And I think we've covered everything on the handout there, so we can close this out. Alright, so flip over to the next page that talks about the landing gear. The landing gear is kind of tedious because you have to tell it where each gear is, where the location is, how long the landing gear is, what the size of the tire is. But we'll click through that pretty quickly. So go to standard, go down to landing gear, and we're going to create 2 lateral landing gear. So those are, there's going to be, this is the nose gear, so we're going to put that at -6.34. So that's forward of the datum, that's on the nose. And then we have a landing gear on each side on the wings. one's negative, one's positive. No, sorry. That's the longitudinal arm. Lateral arms where this is in the center line because it's the nose gear, and then this one is to the left on the wing. This is to the right. The vertical arm is 0 because we're going to just have these down the center line. The angle extended is 0, it's down. Lateral angle extended, 0. And then we can retract these gears. So we're going to put this at minus 100, so that one goes backwards. And then these come backwards and to the side as they retract. And so this one's just going straight back, and then this one's going to go 90 degrees. And this is going to go negative 90 so that it folds up sideways. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. Here we go. This needs to be 90 here. Sorry about that. There's negative 90. Now we got to fix the leg length that I was messing up. So the leg length is 4.8 for this one and 4.9 for these. So 4.9 feet long. This is 4.8 for the nose gear. Tire radius, if you don't set the tire radius to non-zero, the tire will blow out. Simulated, of course. So we're going to give these tires a size. You could actually put in data for a real tire if you wanted to. But we're just going to put in some values here. The tire radius, the semi-width is going to be 0.3. And I'm thinking that's all we need to do here. Cycle time, we're just going to leave alone here. And we do want to say that the nose gear steers. So we're going to click this. I don't seem to have that in the handout. We need to do that. Notice you can even put doors on the landing gear that fold up. But we're done with that part. Oh, we do need to do something on the gear data. Sorry about that. So we're going to click on this tab. And we're going to say the gear is retractable. And I think that's all that we do here. Let me double check numbers with my handout. Notice you can put a water rudder on your airplane. You can even put an anchor. So that if you're creating a seaplane, you can deploy an anchor. There's all kinds of options in this software. I think we're done with this. Yeah, let's get that set up. We can close this out. And there's our airplane. Let's have the controls move. There we go. And so you can even see the landing gear folding up if you do that. So what I did was I did special and show with still moving controls. That toggles things back and forth. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is the fuselage. And this is where it's left up to your creativity. So I'm not going to do a fuselage, but I'll show you some of the things that you're going to want to poke at to get your fuselage to look good. So you pull up a fuselage here. One of the main things that you'll want to adjust is this body radius here. That sets the maximum size of the circle or each of these cross sections here. So you might want to make this bigger to make it look more like an F4. You can add stations here. It adds more cross sections. 20 is a bit much. So you can do more cross sections. You can scroll to the different cross sections with these buttons here. So that scrolls you down. Let's see, that's the body radius. The drag coefficient goes in here for the drag coefficient of the airplane. And there's several different views that you can look at this. This is the cross-section view. You can look at it from the top, bottom, and the front and back. And you can copy, once you get a cross-section maybe that you like here, let's say we drag this out to make it look like this, you can copy this and paste it down the way. If you want to copy things, you can use these arrows to copy and paste forward and back. But the main thing that you're going to end up doing is dragging these locations to create a fuselage. And this takes a little bit of time, but I want you guys to spend some time to make this look really cool, because if you spend a little bit of time on this, it can look like an F4. Let's see, is there anything else? I don't think so. So that's, again, you can edit either on any of these views by dragging points like this, and then you go back, close it out, and you can see your fuselage here, and then you go back to the fuselage again and mess around with it some more to get the fuselage to look however you want it. No idea what that's going to look like. So that looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So obviously we're going to need some fuselage back here for the horizontal and vertical tails to fit on. But that's how you do the fuselage. All right, so let's see what's next in the handout. All right, so we have two things left to do. One is to color the airplane, and I talked through this in class, but it doesn't hurt to do this again. One thing I'm going to do here, though, is I'm going to save what we've done so far. And the steps for color designing this is you go Special, and then you say Output Texture Map Starting Points. So you click on that, and it says, I shall now create a bitmap in the same folder as this airplane, which you can use to color. And that's what we did in class. Say Understood. And then we have to go find that. So that is in you have to remember where XPlane is. All right, I'm going to pause the video while I go look for it, and then I'll show you how to find it. All right, so looking for the folder, I've forgotten where it was installed on this machine. What I did was I right-clicked on the Planemaker icon to launch the software and clicked Properties, and you get this window here, and it shows that, yeah, I'd installed it on the users and then My ID and desktop and XPlane. So that's where we need to go find this. So I'll launch Windows Explorer, this PC, users, my user ID, desktop, which is where it installed it, and then there's the XPlane folder. So you can click in there, and remember we went inside the aircraft folder and we put our airplane in experimental, which has a lot of different airplanes in it. And so here's the paint files that were created with the exact same name as our airplane name. And so we want to open this with paint. Let's see what it defaults to. it's opening it in photos. Let me see if I can get it to open. I like to use Paint for this. And it would Paint 3D. And here's where we can color the various pieces and parts. You can do a dumping bucket and make we can spray paint here. We can color with our crayon here. Again, we can dump with the bucket. We can make this whole part that color. So you can go crazy with coloring this and creating it any way you want. Then we're going to save this. Go up to File. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry. And we save that back on top of itself. And then we go back to XPlane and we say reload textures and we get our color map. So again, we went outside of XPlane into the paint, opened up that file, put the colors on it, and then to get them to show up here, we did special and reload textures. So there's our airplane. It looks goofy because I haven't done a good job with the fuselage. Just checking on the recording there. The last thing in the handout is, again, we probably ought to save this. Let's save it like that. And we'll do standard and instrument panel. And we do a 2D panel here. And so this allows you to put different kinds of instruments into the cockpit here. And what I want you to do, all right, so I'm back. Sorry, I got to get this out of the way here. What I want you to do is just import an instrument panel. So you're going to go up here to this import icon. We're going to click that, and then we're going to pick an airplane. And we can go in and just import the King Air. So click on the King Air, open it up, and you want to make sure you choose just the aircraft file here. And that imports an instrument panel from the King Air, and that contains pretty much everything that we want to fly our airplane. So that's easier. You can go through and edit this instrument panel. In other words, we could delete this airspeed indicator. Just drag it off the screen and it goes away. And we can replace it with anything we want. Inside here are all kinds of instruments. Let's see if I can find something. There's oh, here we go, standard 6. We can grab our own airspeed indicator, scroll down, and pull this weird airspeed indicator over here and then insert it into the cockpit. If we don't like it, we drag it off and get rid of it. Pick a different one. Here's a different airspeed indicator, so you can drag that in. So you can do that with each and every one of these instruments if you want to customize it, but the straightforward way is to just import the instrument panel from the King Air into this aircraft. Click the X to save it. Save the file, and we are done.